Hi friends, welcome back to the Saffron box. I'm Yamini, and today in this video I'm going to be talking about the upcoming transits of March 2021 and what is going to be the effect of all these transits on all the 12 signs, the 12 ascendants. So before I go ahead, if you haven't subscribed till now to my channel, do not forget to hit the subscribe button. If you like the content, do hit the like button, do comment and share the content as well. And you are most welcome to check my playlist where I have listed down all the various playlists which I have made, which has Rahu Ketu through signs, Rahu Ketu positions in various houses, moon in different houses, and I keep updating all these playlists as well from time to time. So you can go check it out. And coming back to the video, I'll begin with the upcoming transits and thereafter the general effects what these transits bring, and I'll go sign wise from Aries till Pisces. So you can check the timestamps in the description box, in the comment section, as well as within the video. Right. So this month, if we talk about transits, we have Sun moving in to the sign of Pisces on the 14th of March. It's currently in Aquarius, moves on to Pisces. Then we have Mars, which is in the sign of Taurus. Mars and Rahu both are together in the sign of Taurus. So this conjunction carries on till the 14th of April. Ketu is in the sign of Scorpio, right opposite Rahu. Then Mars and Rahu form an Angarak Yoga, form a yoga which actually comes into being when Mars, a fiery planet, meets Rahu, which is the planet of suddenness, which is the planet of illusion. What Rahu suddenly gives is something which is difficult to predict. And Mars is anyways an impulsive energy. So Mars and Rahu come together and give sudden results. So they could actually trigger you into being aggressive, into being impulsive, because once when we're dealing with the impulsive energy of Mars, we do not use enough patience or discretion sometimes, and then it is being pumped by the Rahu energy as well. So this is a energy, or this is a conjunction which one has to be very carefully dealing about. And wherever this conjunction comes into your chart, whichever house this conjunction is forming in, that is wherever the sign of Taurus is falling in your chart, you have got to be very very careful here. So as long as Taurus is falling in the growth houses, say 3, 6, 10 or 11, this energy can be utilized well for your fulfillment of your desires, for going ahead, striving more, struggling more and achieving your objective. But anywhere else, in any of the other houses, you've got to be very, very careful, especially if you have the dashas of Mars or Rahu running as well. So one has to be careful there. This energy, however, is very good for letting out your physical energy. So Mars is the muscle, Mars is the energy levels which you have, Mars is desire in you. So and pumped in with the Rahu energy, both the malefic energies can actually be combined together. You can use it to let out physical energy, play, exercise, do things which require a lot of physical output. So that is a good way actually to utilize this energy as well. Then we have Mercury moving into the sign of Aquarius by the middle of the month. Mercury stays with Jupiter and Saturn in the sign of Capricorn, and that is when and by the middle of the month it moves on to the sign of Aquarius. So Mercury and Jupiter actually come very close in degrees as well. There's a planetary war or a Graha Yuddha also. So where of course Jupiter being the stronger one, Jupiter being the bigger and the maturer planet, actually takes over. But there's a planetary war also which we see. Then thereafter we have Venus. Venus is moving into the sign of Pisces where it exalts. So while it exalts, Venus is also very close to the Sun. Venus is combust as well as exalted. Again, a very sensitive point to be seen. So you've got to see the sign of Pisces wherever it is falling into your chart. And do remember that even with the Mars and Rahu conjunction, there is a Venus connection happening. Mars and Rahu are in the sign of Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. So the dispositor of Mars as well as Rahu is exalted plus combust, a sensitive situation. Now, Venus rules over the relationships. Venus rules over marriage, relationships, all the things we love, we desire. It's a planet, it's a Rajasic planet. So, Venus energy, when tinkled like this, gives rise to hypersensitivity. So, you could be in all, dealing with a lot of impulsiveness, dealing with a lot of rashness sometimes. So, one has to be really careful as to how they deal with relationships. That is very, very important this entire month. So your relationships, your family connections, all these things have to be handled very carefully, right? So there could be arguments at workplace, or there could be arguments with your uh, close relationships. These kind of things are indicated in general for all the 12 signs. But I'll go ahead, I'll start with Aries, I'll go on to Pisces, and we'll understand how this effect comes on to various signs as well. So, moving on to the first sign, that is Aries. With Aries, you see Mars and Rahu. Mars is also the Lagnesh for Aries. So, Mars and Rahu are combining in the second house, and thereafter we have Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury in the 10th house. Venus moves on from your 11th to the 12th house, where it gets exalted as well. Venus is also your 7th lord. Now, here, what does it translate for you? There could be a lot of communication within the family. You could actually speak impulsively, communicate very, very impulsively within the family, especially with the position of Mercury also going in, breaking the conjunction and moving on. And this communication could not sound too good to others. So this communication could actually put you in a tricky state. So with the Rahu conjunction happening with Mars, with the Lagnesh in the second house of speech, family, finances, you've got to be careful about your speech, how you're communicating within your family. If there is a financial issue which you've got to be dealing with in the family, you have got to see how it affects, what are your actions, how does it affect everybody else in the family. So one is thing, you have to be very careful there. You also have to be very, very careful with regard to communication at workplace, with the position of Mercury there in the 10th house. So you've got to be very careful about how you're communicating at workplace. How are you communicating with your bosses, with your superiors? Because that again could put you in a tricky state when it comes to work, when it comes to your communication. Be also very, very careful about how you communicate in the written word. What are you writing? How is your written communication going to anybody else? So think twice before getting into any argument, before getting into any conflict, and writing anything. So if you're looking at say a legal battle, if you're looking at filing a complaint, if you're looking at putting up some kind of legal process rolling, you have got to be very, very careful, and I suggest that you wait it out for another month or so, right? Relationships could suffer a little bit because with the position of Venus in the 12th exalted but combust, ego issues could actually mar your relationship sometimes. So you've got to be very, very careful here. And the first half though looks good when it comes to fulfillment of your materialistic desires, but the second half of the month, sorry, has to be very carefully seen, and you've got to tread very carefully. Then we move on to the next sign, that is Taurus. Now for Taurus, this Angarak Yog, that is Mars and Rahu, come together within your ascendant, that is within your first house. This could make you a little rash. This could make you a little headstrong as well. So you want to expend your energy, you want to express yourself, and you do it with a little rashness, which may not go down well with others. So try to take prudent advice, try to take the advice of people around you carefully, and then move on to things. That is something which you've got to be very, very careful about. Be very careful about the expenditure which you're making, because with this, this entire month, I see that you could be making certain expenditures, certain investments, which may not go down well in the future. Then we have Venus moving on to your 11th house. Venus is your Lagnesh as well. Venus moves to the 11th house in the second half of the month. That is a period where you could see some materialistic gains coming through, where you could see that whatever you feel, whatever you desire for is happening. So be a little patient. The first half requires you to be a little, patient and wait for things to naturally kick in, right? You could have a challenging month work-wise also, because of communication or because of some delays at work. There could be frustrations, but as the month moves on, as we move on to the end of the month, things will look better. Try to communicate well with your superiors, or with your father figure, with your guru. Try to take the blessings of your guru, your elders, and I think this is how you can tread carefully and go on through this month very, very carefully. With your relationships also, there could be chances that those of you who are in a relationship, um, yet to be married, there could be chances of some impulsive decisions which you might take, but you've got to be very, very careful. Leave certain important decisions for a later date rather than taking a rash decision right now. Yeah. Then we move on to the next sign of Gemini. For Gemini, you see the Lagnesh is changing signs, and then we have the Mars and Rahu conjunction in the 12th house. We have Venus coming into exaltation in the 10th house as well. So this could be a bright month for you in terms of your career prospects, in terms of work, relationships at work. But be careful there. As I said, Venus is sensitive. Venus, could kick in some irritability because of relationships as well. So whatever you may do in terms of office relationships, in terms of work relationships, try not to take things to heart. Try to go on, maybe communicate a little less, let things happen naturally, right? Then we also have the position of Mercury, your Lagnesh changing signs. Things could get better. You could step into lady luck. A lot of luck could work in your favor in terms of work. The position of Mars and Rahu in the 12th house could also make you spend a little irrationally. So there could be sudden expenditure, there could be expenditure on health, there could be expenditure on some kind of a legal issue as well. So health and legal issues, these are the expenditures which I see for you this month. They could come up suddenly. You have to take care of your health as well, right? So if you're due for some regular checkups, etc., please take care of your health. There could be issues related to some blood disorder, or those of you who are going through, those of you who have blood pressure issues, got to be very, very careful. Then we move on to the next sign of Cancer. So for Cancer, if you see, I would say this is a good month. Mars and Rahu are coming together in your 11th house, which is a growth house. Malefics in the growth house also do very well, though. But you've got to be careful with your social circle. So, be careful with your interaction. See whom you want to deal with, whom you don't want to deal with. Use your discretion, use your wisdom to go about in your social circle as well. Then we have Venus moving into your 9th house by the second half of the month. This position though is good. Venus exalts over there. But this could also boost in some opportunities for you. So lady luck comes to you. There could be some stroke of luck, maybe through your wife, maybe through a female connection who helps you out at work, right? So those of you who are studying abroad, or those of you who are pursuing higher studies in arts, in some creative field, could benefit this month, right? So use the opportunities which come your way. Mars and Rahu in the 11th are also going to be favoring you. There is going to be action happening, when it comes to your desire fulfillment, whatever you've been waiting for. There could be some action happening. There could be some traction over there. uh, Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct with Mercury in your seventh house, so there could be blow hot, blow cold kind of a theme going on with your spouse, with your partner as well. There would be a lot of communication happening with your spouse. Make sure that you're communicating the right things. What you're communicating goes through is understood by the spouse and is understood by your partner well. That is something which is important, because Mercury being here, especially being in a planetary war along with Jupiter, communication issues could crop up between your spouse and you. So be careful over there. Those of you who have grown up children could also find themselves busy dealing with matters related to children, or matters relating to their studies as well. So be a little patient with your children as well. This month requires you to be a little patient, especially when the moon is waxing, especially when the moon is gaining strength. You got to be a little patient and see how you're reacting to things around you, right? So do not be emotional and deal with things with a very cool head. That is what my advice is for the sign of Cancer. Then we move on to the next sign of Leo. So for Leo, if you see, we have the Mars and Rahu conjunction in your 10th house, and we have Venus exalting in your 8th house. Not a very bright state, especially with your Lagnesh, that is Sun, also moving into your 8th house by the second half of the month. So Sun and Venus not very friendly together in the 8th house, are not a very great state. Take care of your health and take care of any issues. Those of you who have any issues related to the endocrine system, sugar related issues, or general immunity could get hit. So you've got to be very careful regarding your health, and there could also be expenditure on health. So take care of that, make some provisions accordingly. Then we have Mars and Rahu in your 10th, as I mentioned. Mars and Rahu's position over here is not very good. I would say there could be unfavorable results at workplace. So your impulsiveness, your rashness sometimes could land you into trouble at work with your bosses as well. So this month you've got to be very careful at work. Whatever you want, be polite. Do not let your ego speak. You have got to speak with the correctness, with the correct conduct. That is something which is very important. There could be some tiffs with your father or a father-like figure as well. So you've got to be careful there as well. Then those of you who are entangled in any kind of a legal hassle, there could be some traction there, some communication, some important communication which you receive. Those of you who are preparing for any competitive exams could also see some traction, could also see some movement happening, or you could find that things are moving in your favor somewhere, right? So for Leo, this is a little mixed month. Be careful on your health front. Be careful at work, while how you're communicating, how you're conducting, how do you come across to others. That is something which you have to be careful about. Empathize with others. That is something very important for Leo, I would say. Then we move on to the next sign, that is Virgo. Now for Virgo, if you see, you have Venus exalting in your seventh. The Lagnesh moving into the sixth house. You've got to feel very competitive this month. This month could kick in some competitive spirit in you. You want to deal with a lot on your plate. But how do you deal with it? How do you deal with things around you could pose an issue. So take care, take stock of whatever you have to deal with, what you have to manage, and use your communication skills, use your sharpness to actually deal through all these matters. You've got to be very tactful this entire month, and especially with your second lord, Venus, exalting yet getting combust. You've got to be very careful with your relationships within the family. How are your relationships behaving? How are you behaving with your relationships, with your relatives around you, with your spouse? You've got to see and deal with people with a lot of sensitivity. Make an emotional connect with everybody around you, right? Then we also have this Mars and Rahu conjunction in the ninth. There could be some restlessness as regards to career choice, higher studies. Uh, Sometimes you could just question your own ideology, own philosophy about what you're doing. Are you doing something right? How are things going to pan out for you? A little restlessness, or I would say confusion regarding your future could also crop in. So try to sit down, take professional guidance about how your life is going, how you're going to be planning things around you, and then accordingly move ahead. This month requires a lot of patience with regard to relationships, and if need be, if you're in doubts, if you're in confusion, you need to seek professional advice and then move on. So whether it's a financial advisor, whether it is a career counselor or a mentor at work, connect with people who are better in their fields, who are experts in their fields, and seek their guidance to better your life. Do not be rash about things. So do not make any investments which could just be which could seem good right now, but you don't know how they pan out in future. So take some professional advice and then move on. That is my serious advice to the Virgo ascendant as well. Then we move on to Libra. With Libra, we have the Lagnesh Venus in the sixth house, exalted but combust. We also have the Mars and Rahu conjunction in the eighth house, in the sign of Taurus. So this month, you have to be very careful about yourself. Take care of your physical body. There could be chances of some accidents or injuries happening. So take care, stay away from any electrical appliances, handle them properly, and be careful about things around you. So while you're on the road, if you're driving, don't get into a road rage. Drive within permissible limits. Take proper safety precautions while you're handling appliances, gadgets, or anything like this. Again, take enough safety precautions and then go about your work. Safety measures have to be taken. You've got to be careful regarding your health as well. So how your stomach is behaving, you've got to be careful. Be very, very particular about the food which you're intaking. The food intake has to be looked at properly. Those of you who have any problems related to their feet or leg could also have some old problem coming up again. So feet, legs, any old injuries, any old wounds, injuries, etc. have to be seen. Right? Otherwise, this month could make you feel a little competitive. You look at the environment around you, you see how things are going to pan out for you. This month could be crucial for those awaiting any important decision, in any important communication. Those of you who are in a competitive state, are writing any competitive exam, waiting for some higher authorities to get back to you. This could be a month where you see some traction, right? So do not be too emotional about things. let things happen, let nature take its course, and wait out, especially with the Lagnesh getting combust, getting, you could, there could be instances where you feel irritated, where you feel a little sensitive, hypersensitive. That is something which you've got to avoid this entire month, right? Then we move on to the next sign of Scorpio. So for Scorpio, we have the Lagnesh with Rahu. So Mars is with Rahu in the seventh house. Mars and Rahu conjunction, the Angarak Yoga is happening in the seventh house. Uh, for Scorpio, I would say this is a very, very tricky state to be in. This is a little dicey state to be in. So you've got to be careful with people whom you're dealing with, across the table. So it could be your spouse, it could be your business partner, it could be anybody whom you're dealing with in business. So those of you who are dealing with new people every day, you're running your own business, dealing with new connections, making new connections every day, you have got to be super duper careful and try to read the other person and then be judgmental about it, rather than just being too jumping the gun and judging the other person without spending enough time, without spending enough thought about the other person. So you've got to give people their time. Do not be rash, especially with your spouse, especially with your partner. If you're taking any decision regarding your marriage, I would say that wait out for some time, let some time pass, let a month or two pass, and then decide. If you're at a juncture of matchmaking, or if you're deciding, if you're at a yes no kind of a state, you've got to give yourself some more time, right? You could feel very, very competitive this entire month. You could feel that yes, you can take on everybody, you can fight out everybody, but believe me, this could be a temporary phase. So do not take any action which or and don't make plans which you're not going to implement later on. So this month, wait and watch, see how things are happening around you, see how things are developing around you, and then take a decision. Sometimes pending a decision is also a good decision. So, and then react, right? Venus is also there in your fifth house, exalting and getting combust also at the same point in time. Mercury is there in your fourth, right? So there could be a lot of communication at home. There could be a lot of communication gaps also at home sometimes in your domestic front. So you've got to take care of that. Children could give you joy. Children, those of you who are at a phase of planning children could actually feel like going ahead and planning a conception, looking after your children, those who have children. So this month you could actually make an emotional connect, spend more time, spend more energy with your children. Children give you joy, right? Then we move on to the next sign of Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, you see the Mars and Rahu conjunction. Mars is a very, very important planet for you, your fifth lord. Mars and Rahu conjunction is happening in the sixth house. This month, you could feel overconfident about whatever you can do. You could feel that, yes, I can take on anybody and everybody, and I'm good at handling things. I'm good at handling any crisis, good at doing any struggle, any fight. But there could be a touch of overconfidence over there. So keep your head on the ground, keep yourself on the ground, and then decide what you want to take up, what you want to deal with, and what you want to leave, right? So though you could feel very competitive and feel very kicked about taking on challenges, Mars and Rahu energy in the sixth can do that. Take care of your digestion, take care of your health issues if you have any, especially any blood related issues. Then you have Venus. Venus is there in your fourth house, exalting and combusting. So you have a sun joining the fourth house. That is, Sun and Venus combining in the fourth house by the second half of the month. Relationship with your spouse, relationships with your social circle, All these things could come into focus. You could be entertaining a lot of people at home. This month could be socially busy for you. But at the same point in time, there could also be chances of a tiff happening within your social circle. So be stay a little distant, mingle with people, but stay a little distant. See what you've got to do and how you got to do it. So this month you need to learn how to balance relationships, right? Then we move on to the next sign of Capricorn. So for Capricorn, we have Venus moving on to your third house along with Sun. We have Mercury moving out from the sign of Capricorn to the sign of Aquarius to your second. Then we have the Mars and Rahu conjunction happening in the sign of Taurus, that is in your fifth house. Creativity, intelligence has to be used rationally for you this month. How you utilize your intelligence, how you use your creativity, you could feel a little kicked about doing things. You could feel that yes, you can take on and you can talk about your creativity, you can express it to the world. But how do you do it? You've got to do it in in a way which is very pleasant to others. So how you present things to others is what is very important for you this entire month. Then how you creatively express yourself this month is very, very important for people who are in the creative fields, people who are in the communication field. How you express yourself, how do you reach the eyes and ears of other people is what you've got to see. And those of you who are in other fields also, this is going to be the general theme. How you're going to communicate your oral word, your written word, how are you coming across to other people is what is very, very important for you. So take this opportunity, take this month to communicate with people about what you want, whether it is your children, whether it is your spouse or people around you. Try to talk it out with other people. This month professionally could be a little challenging. I'm not talking about the creative side. Otherwise, for other people, this could be a little challenging month. Those of you who are looking at a transfer, you could hear about news of a transfer or some kind of a change at work profile or a change of scene at work. Now moving on to the next sign of Aquarius. For Aquarius, you see the Mars and Rahu conjunction is happening in the fourth house, in the sign of Taurus. Then in the second house, we have Venus exalting and being conjunct with Sun, so being combust as well. Relationships within your close family, finances within your close family could be a talking point this entire month. So you could look at how your family finances are. Those of you who are in a family business, you deal with family members with money also regularly. You've got to be careful with how you're handling that money. Try to keep things transparent. Do not let ego talk. Talk rationally with people within your family. So that could be an important point. Be very, very careful about what your diet is, what kind of food you are consuming. That could also pose any challenge, that could also pose any problems for you. So do not overindulge this month. That is very, very important for Aquarius. Do not overindulge in food and drink. Then the domestic front needs to be very, very you've got to be very careful about how you're dealing with people at home. Your relationship with your mother, your relationship within the close family, as I mentioned. So finances and family are the focal point, and you've got to deal with them very carefully and very sensitively as well. There could be chances of doing up any renovation or doing up things at your home. But what kind of expenditure are you finally going to build up on that also needs to be planned ahead. So uh, whatever you plan out in detail, take concurrence of all your family members, and then go ahead. Sun is in the second house, so that is what I'm focusing on. With the seventh lord, that is sun, uh, coming into your second house, your speech could be very authoritative. Others might feel that you're talking very authoritatively, over authoritatively, and this could pose a problem. So take care of that. Then we move on to the last sign of Pisces. So for Pisces, you have Venus moving into your ascendant from the 12th house. It exits, comes on to the first house. Then we have Mars and Rahu in the third, in the sign of Taurus. This month you could feel very energetic about doing things, taking up new work, taking up new initiative. But while Mars energy is okay there, the infusion of Rahu energy, the boost of Rahu energy over there could make you take on much more than you can actually handle. So be prudent about what you're going to take and how you're going to finally deliver things. So at work, in your personal life also, you need to be very careful about how you're committing about yourself to various projects, various people, and what you're going to finally deliver. So bite only as much as you can chew is what I would say. As regards your communication also, you might communicate a lot with your spouse. This is a time to spend time with your spouse. Do that. Spend some quality time within your family. And while you express yourself, those of you who are in the media industry, or those of you who are in the publishing business, wherein you write and speak and it affects a lot of people around you, it affects the masses, you have got to be very careful. Make sure that whatever you're communicating is right. Make sure whatever you are writing goes in the right spirit to the people. You are not communicating any false information. That is something which you've got to be very, very careful about. Otherwise, this is a mixed month for you. Communication has to be checked. Otherwise, you feel energetic and you feel that you can take on a lot of things coming on to you. Yeah, so that was all about the 12 signs. I'll see you very soon again in another video. Till then, take care. God bless you. Bye-bye.